welcome. And if you have been here before, then welcome back. Today we are doing our monthly live demonstration, and as a reminder for those that might be new, this is a time where we talk about a tree species, we style it. You can ask questions at any time. Please do ask questions. A lot of them. I will be reading them for our bonsai artists, and then we'll do an online auction on our website, thebonsai.supply.com. So today we have a crepe myrtle. It's hard to pronounce for me, but without further ado, I'm thrilled to present you my husband, Jerome Kellerholz, who's gonna be the artist working on this today. Back on the studio myself.
Thank you for this beautiful introduction. Hello everyone and welcome. And this is pronounced crepe myrtle, by the way. I know it's a hard one. So I got this beautiful crepe myrtle here today, which is a deciduous tree. And can you guess the flower color of this tree before I give too much away? So,
Why not people are just tuning in? And actually, I forgot to tell you, but you guys, we love to know where you guys are tuning in from. So please write on the comments where you guys are tuning in from, and we would like to read those. I see already Michael on YouTube. He's saying happy hump day from Philly.
yeah.
That is awesome. So we're going live right now on YouTube and on TikTok. So yeah, all right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with defoliating. So for some of you that have just joined, this is a crepe myrtle. This is not the dwarf variety, and this is also not the regular variety that you see in most landscapes, like the really tall trees. This one is right in between. So the leaf is a nice medium. It is a vigorous grower, and the flowers are actually like that fuchsia color, which is my wife's favorite color, if you needed to know that. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is actually to defoliate that, because deciduous trees such as this one, in the summertime, so right now when it's nice and hot, they go into a little dormant period, and it's a great time to go in here, remove the foliage to get an overall view of the structure. Go ahead and style this tree, put on wire, remove some thick branches. This is a great time to do big trunk chops as well, and the tree will bounce back really quickly from that. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this, defoliating this crepe myrtle.
yeah, so first step, defoliation, and I'm gonna read those comments from YouTube. I see
Alright.
Gerardo, hello Jerome and Mari, New York here.
Alright.
Fun. Maryland, she's from Brownsville, Texas. I love it. Hi from Trinidad.
Hola.
So fun. Oh my goodness, I don't know how to pronounce this. Okay, somewhere in Florida. Hello to you. Happy Wednesday, Spencer. Ireland. Fun, Ralph. Welcome, welcome. I love it. California. All right. California in the house.
Nice.
I see. Okay, I see North Carolina. Oh, fun, fun. Canada. Yes, I love our Canadian friends.
Yeah. What part of Canada?
Let's see what they say. Saludos from Puerto Rico.
Buenas,
Yes.
buenas noches.
Puerto Rico in the house.
Yeah.
I love it. And oh, okay, Calgary.
Ooh.
Amazing. That's where we were.
Not
3
too
months
long
ago.
ago. We loved Calgary. Calgary is right by the Rocky Mountains, so it's on the other side of Seattle, and it's absolutely beautiful. I wanted to collect every single tree that I saw. True story.
Yeah. All right. So for those that are just joining in, Jerome started defoliating the tree, and you guys can ask questions during the live. I'll make sure to read them to Jerome. Also, this tree is going for an online auction at the end of the live. So if you would like to participate and you are in the US, you're welcome to do so. It will be on our website, thebonsaisupply.com. Let me see. Oh, Sweden is also here.
All right.
Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, and I see some questions coming in already.
All right.
This first question says, I'm in zone 7A. It's safe to do trunk shops in defoliate now?
I don't know what you said. 6A, right?
7A.
7A. So you're very close to me. Yeah. So this really applies to any growing zone, right? The only thing that may vary a little bit is the month that you do it in. But I believe I'm also in growing zone 7, or at least borderline to it. I think I'm right in between 7 and 8. So I do it right now, and just keep an eye on your tree when they stop growing. Like this tree, there's no new growth at the end coming out right now. So it's just kind of sitting there. The leaves are starting to look a little raggedy. So that's when I know that it's a good time to go ahead and defoliate that. So always let your trees tell you. But yes, I think it is a good time for you as well, as long as you have no new growth on the trees.
Okay, and I see new friends coming in. Hi from Australia.
All right.
Fun. Arizona. Arizona's in the
Oh.
house too. Virginia. Okay, welcome everyone. And all right, Michael has a question. Can you cut or just pinch to defoliate?
So you can do both. So I'm actually so I'm holding the branch up here, and I'm just kind of pushing the leaves back, and they snap right off. So you can either do that, or if you have like a tree that has very fine leaves, you can also use scissors. I do like to use scissors once I get to the tip here, because the tip here tends to be a little tender and, breaks a little easier than the back here. So here I would probably go ahead and use scissors, but you can use either.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I see another friend from Australia. Fun, fun.
It must be late over there. I think they are 13 hours ahead.
Oh my goodness. And as a reminder, let us know again, love, what are you working on and what are you doing right now and why?
This is a crepe myrtle, which is a deciduous tree, and this tree can live in a very wide variety of climates. So you could have this if you lived in a tropical climate or even in a temperate climate. Right now in the middle of the summer where it's really nice and hot, I go through my deciduous temperate trees and I just see if they have stopped growing. You can tell fairly easily if they have stopped growing, because when you look at the very tips here and there's no new growth pushing, then you know the tree has stopped growing. And at that point, I like to go ahead and defoliate the tree, wire it, style it, do whatever I need to do, and even do some large trunk chops this time of the year. It's a great time to do that. And so that's basically the first thing that I'm doing here, is I'm removing all of the leaves.
Wonderful. And I see a question from Albert. Are crepe myrtles fast or slow growers?
So in the ground, they're extremely fast growing, and it's almost impossible to kill one. Like we have some big ones at our business that we cut down to the ground, like all the way to the ground, and they keep reshooting. So they're extremely tough trees, and if they get enough water and they are in good free draining soil, they're also really fast growing too.
Okay. And I see they're saying it's 9 a.m. in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning from the future. Well, they are in the future.
They are in the future. Unless it's yesterday. Unless it's this morning.
This is getting up to date.
This is a bonsai show.
Okay, question. This question is about an oak. It says, if you have collected an oak in the middle of the summer and how to maximize the survival.
I have collected oaks, but not in the middle of the summer. So it depends on what kind of oak you have. But if you're talking about like a live oak or a laurel oak, which is like a subtropical, semi-deciduous tree, you still wouldn't want to do it in the summertime. Survival rate is very, very minimal. It's basically a waste of time because it's going to take you a while to dig it up, but then also the survival rate is not that great. What you want to do instead is wait for the fall. Once the temperatures get cooler, you can go ahead and collect it then. Your survival rate will go up by about 90%. You can also do it in the spring when the tree starts to wake up. That's also a really good time, but just don't do it now. The only thing that you want to collect right now is tropical trees, and that's it.
Okay, and I see Rolf from the UK is saying it's just after midnight in the UK. That is commitment. Thank
Yes,
you
it
for
is.
being with us tonight. Amazing. So I see on TikTok there is a friend from Arizona, and he says, "Thanks for the soil. I got some for Prime Day."
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was a good time to snatch some soil up right there.
We love Prime Day, and thank you for the support. We hope your trees love it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, question: how old is the tree?
Since we picked it up at a bonsai place, I would say it's probably around 10 years old because it was always trained in smaller containers, and it was up potted all the time and kind of kept short. So I would say it's safe to say probably between 8 to 10 years old. But it's always guessing the tree's age is always kind of funny, right? Because this tree could literally be 60 years old. It could be. It could also be 5 years old. It really depends on where it grew and who took care of it, right? If you repotted, you give it good soil, good sun, good fertilizer, then the trees, if you tend to it, then the trees grow a lot faster versus like in Florida, for instance, you can find some ball cypresses that are only like 2 feet tall and they're like 100 years old because they grow in a very dry area. So that's kind of the funny part about the age.
Okay, we have a bonsai friend coming in from Southern California. Welcome. I also see it's 7:11 a.m. Thursday in the Philippines. All right, I love like everyone is giving us their time. I love it. Good morning. 7:11 in the Philippines.
Wow.
Thursday. That's amazing. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let me ask you this question. Are you familiar with a Distillion? Cinnamon Girl to be exact variety I have. It's some sort of newer hybrid broadleaf evergreen. Distillion.
What's the common name? So I think I would think or assume that that's the scientific name.
Yeah, so we're not familiar with that name, but maybe let's see. Yeah.
See if you have the common name. So I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good to rock and roll here.
Okay, so what's your vision?
Yes. So as I'm turning it around, right, this tree already naturally has an upward flowing deciduous feel, and I think I want to continue with that. I think that these two up here, I didn't defoliate them because I'm going to shorten them or they're going to go completely anyways. Now the cool thing is about deciduous trees like this, and this doesn't work for all deciduous trees, but for most it does, I can cut this branch back to here and it'll regrow once the tree starts to grow again. So you don't have to cut back to the last leaf, just cut back and it'll start to resprout in the spring. Oh, I mean, now once it starts to come back out of the dormant period. My apologies. So I kind of picked this front here. So I want to show you right now. So I picked this front here. Am I aiming it at YouTube right now, right? So
Yes.
I aimed it like this because I have the trunks kind of separate in the center here. And that's a very normal, common deciduous behavior, that they have a trunk and then all of a sudden they branch out into multiple trunks. So that's very natural. And what I wanted to do with this is bring one trunk forward and bring another main trunk back, because that creates depth and also gives us a more of an older feel in terms of tree. So now I am going to go ahead and start to wire. if that's okay.
Okay. Right, and I see a question about junipers. It says, how do you put a juniper into dormancy?
So the dormancy is not something that you can do. Like the tree has to do that on its own. It's not something that it's not a technique or anything like that. I'm assuming you're asking me this because you don't live in a juniper-friendly climate. Is that the reason why, I would assume? But
I feel that juniper is like this friendly climate everywhere though.
it depends what kind of juniper. Like, if we talk about procumbens nana, yeah, that one is friendly everywhere. If we're talking about California juniper, also quite friendly. But then once we go into like these junipers that grow high up in the mountains, like a Rocky Mountain juniper, I would stay away from that if you're not in that climate where they like to grow.
Okay. Oh, I love Cody from Sarasota, Florida. He says, just chopped a crepe myrtle 2 weeks ago for a new project, so perfect timing.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
So it's amazing. I mean, this is such a great beginner tree, right? Like if you're just getting started in bonsai, or if you're already into it for a little while, this is a great species because it's so forgiving. It reminds me of like a ball cypress, of how forgiving it is, and it just does not care about anything. Like you can chop it back really hard, it just always regrows. So great tree, and of course it gives you flowers. So bonus.
That is a big bonus. Yes. What about repotting? When will they repot this?
So I would repot this guy in the spring, right as the new buds start to swell. Whoever gets this tree today, if you cannot wait until then, I would suggest do a slip potting, right? Which is literally, you have to take my word for it. You are not disturbing the root ball, and that's so important. So you literally are taking this tree out of this pot and slipping it into a larger pot to get some more growth out of this tree for this year. But when I say do not disturb the root ball, don't think you can get away and cheat a little bit. You know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and all of a sudden you removed a lot. So be very cautious when it comes to that.
Okay, there's a great question here. What is the best time to do root work on this tree?
Also in the spring. When you repot it, it is a great time to do root work. I would actually, when I would repot this tree in the spring, right as it starts to push new growth, I would go ahead and flush out all of the black soil and use 100% good bonsai soil. Do the complete switch right away, and yeah. I can envision this tree to be on the smaller side. Like, I don't think I want this tree to be very big because it has so much character in such a small way already. I think I want to go with that, and keep it kind of small-ish.
Yeah, definitely. Is there something we need to look out for or something on this species?
No, so they do like a lot of water. So especially right now, when they start to actively grow, you want to make sure that you water them really, really, really well. If you don't, the leaves will start to turn yellow and they will start to pout. So very important.
Okay, and I see a question on TikTok asking where do you get your wire? And so you guys know everything that Jerome is using should be, I believe, at least the wire is, on our Amazon recommendations. So you can check the link on the profile, and there's a section that says Amazon recommendations. There you'll see the wire and other supplies we recommend from Amazon.
Actually, also the tools that I use are also from there, even the cup paste. So everything that we use is on that Amazon recommendation page. We made it super easy for you guys to find and use exactly what we use.
Yeah, and everything, this products that we recommend, we make sure that we have used them before, so we know they're good, and also they are affordable.
And to be honest with you, I'm actually still using all of these products myself.
Yeah.
Tools, everything. Because I like them so much.
Yeah. Oh, and also they're asking, what is that cream you're putting on the plant?
That's a cut paste, which is kind of like a, I guess it's a funny way of describing it, as a liquid band-aid, if you will. So when you make little cracks, so when I moved this branch, I made a little crack here. And so when you make a crack on a branch like this, you want to cover it up right away with this cut paste. And that's for several reasons, because we want to make sure that we don't allow this section to dry out. Because when it dries out, this will not heal. It will turn into like a dead section that we then later have to heal. We also don't want it to be too moist in there or like have water excess, because that could introduce bugs or a fungus or something like that. And so this cream also kind of helps the tree speed up the recovery. I also use this when I make large cuts, like when I remove larger branches. I would also use this as well.
Okay. This is a great question. Can you bonsai larger trees with big leaves and train them to have small leaves?
So that's a great question, right? So leaves we can shrink, flowers and fruits we cannot. When you say big leaves, right? It always depends on how big the leaves are. Like if we talk about a leaf that's this big, yeah, maybe this one, sure. Even if it's the size of my hand, you can still shrink it, but you always have to think about like how long the leaves will stay that big. So if you have a huge trunk and you have big leaves, it's all good because it will still look kind of okay until you're ready to reduce the leaves. But if you have a small tree like this and large leaves like that, you're going to be looking at this for quite a long time until it is time to reduce the leaves. And I know you're going to ask me, when is it time to reduce the leaves? That's a great question. So when it's time to reduce the leaves, we want to wait until all the main branches are set, right? So the main branches come out of the trunk. So with the trunk, main branches come from the trunk, secondary branches come from the main branches, and then tertiary branches come from the secondary branches. We want to make sure that we have all of these branches in place before we even think about the leaf reduction. Leaf reduction is something you do at the very, very end.
Yes. Amazing. And for those tuning in just now on TikTok, just wanted to let you know that we're going live on YouTube as well. We do have a YouTube channel that we post new videos every Wednesday. So please give some love. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And if you are watching from YouTube and you have a TikTok, go get us on TikTok. Actually, there is Jerome's account and it's called Jerome _ Bonsai.
On TikTok.
On
right?
TikTok,
Okay.
yes.
Just making sure.
Yes. And also this tree for the friends in the United States will be going to an online auction tonight for 48 hours. So if you would like to participate, it will be available on our website, thebonsaisupply.com. It will be under YouTube auctions.
Yeah.
All right. Great question here. Is a good time for bougainvillea defoliation?
Yeah. So tropical trees is another thing that we do in the summer, right? Now the only difference is that on temperate trees such as this one, we wait until it stops growing, whereas on tropical trees, we wait until they start to grow, right? That's when we start to work on tropical trees. So let me say that one more time. Tropical trees, we work when they actively grow. So right now, defoliate, prune, repot, everything you want to do. And in temperate tree, you do the work when they go into a dormant period. Okay?
All right. This is a fun question. What is your personal favorite plant to bonsai? Or tree to bonsai?
Tree to bonsai. So I am a big deciduous guy. I love deciduous trees. I love that nice winter silhouette. However, lately I've been really dabbling into the juniper world. I'm really falling in love with junipers these days. So I would say these two. Obviously I still love tropical trees. It's just a little harder for me to do it. Up here in Georgia, But yeah, those are my two favorites right now. I would say. You know, the thing is, I don't have a favorite all the time forever. It always changes a little bit, right? Because I change, right? The way that I feel about trees, my taste changes, and so that's why my bonsai trees also change. Maybe the next time you ask me this question, I'll tell you pines.
Definitely. I was going to say that you do change your species pretty much at least with the season. With the season, with the climate, with the mood. There's so many great species, so how can you not?
Well, I do think it is important though that when you do this, right? Like when you start to switch species like crazy, and you're like me, make sure that you master one species really well. You know, understand how to keep it alive, right? Until you move on to the next one. Because if you keep moving on and moving on, you never get good at anything specifically. So that's why I recommend, you know, take your time, enjoy the journey, and kind of, you know, go with new species as you go, as you learn.
Yes, I mean it's so fun to discover new species.
What's your favorite species?
Oh my goodness.
I think
it
azaleas,
also
no?
depends on the season.
Okay.
But I will say right now is Nia, and it's just because I have this little Nia that I thought it died, and it actually came back to life. It survived. It's a survivor. So she's my favorite now. So Nia's is my, and they have little yellow flowers. So beautiful.
What's not to like, right?
What's not to like? Oh, and of course I have heard this question multiple times, and I love it. Since, you know, bonsai is just tree in a pot, right? So we always get these questions. Can mango trees be bonsais?
So this is probably one of my favorite questions, right? Because I always say that yes, you can bonsai anything pretty much as long as the end result looks like a miniature image of a large and old tree. So if you have a big mango trunk, right, and you can make it look like a miniature image of a large mango tree, then by all means. However, mango trees have large leaves like this and large fruit. So in order to offset that, to make that look believable, you would have to have a really substantial trunk and height to make it look believable. But I always say, you know what, if you want to have one for fun in a pot, why not? You know, have fun with it. Not everything has to be a bonsai, you know? Like a masterpiece bonsai. That's kind of my take on this.
Yeah, and Cynthia just got online. So welcome, Cynthia.
Welcome, Cynthia.
On YouTube.
Oh, is this Cynthia from Arizona?
Oh, Cynthia, are you from Arizona? Putting you on the spot. Okay, so she's saying she has a crepe myrtle that has no flower. Mm-hmm. And she has been ramifying it for several years, and she thinks she had cut off August blossoms when she prunes in summer and fall. So how can we help? Let's talk about blooming and how to.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And yes, she's Cynthia from Arizona.
Oh, it's good to see you again. So there's two reasons why trees flower. Okay, one reason is because they're super happy, or they have reached the maturity stage where they can start to flower, also meaning that they are super happy, or they are about to die. These are the two reasons why trees flower. Now, if yours has not flowered, it could be that you may have pruned it a little too early, right? You may have pruned it right before it started to flower, and now instead of the tree giving you flowers, it is giving you more leaves. But also, crepe myrtles don't really flower close to the canopy. I believe I counted it once. I think they need to have, I don't remember if it's 8 or 10 set of leaves until the flower comes. So it's not like most other trees where, you know, you can prune them back and the flowers appear right here. They have to grow out before they start to flower. Something to keep in mind when you set your design as well.
Love it. And so for those that might be like, oh, Jerome, you know, Cynthia, Arizona, right
Well,
there. Jerome actually
Cynthia
has
and I, we go way back, first of all, okay?
Jerome pretty much remembers every single name of anybody that joins his study group. And
Yeah.
Cynthia actually was part of one of the students of the study group last Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, we do study groups every third Sunday of the month. I believe August is going to be our last before going into a little break. So make sure to check that out on our website if you would like to participate. You don't need to be in the United States. We do it through Zoom. So you can just, we talk about trees. You show your bonsai tree. We talk about goals and yeah, so just about bonsai. Check out the next one, third Sunday on August. And you can sign up on our website, thebonsaiisupply.com. It is under Learn Study Groups on Zoom. Let me see what else we have here. Okay, let's talk more
Let's talk about
flowering because I see different comments. I see one comment that says I thought they flower because they are happy.
Correct.
And like let's clarify more how
Okay.
flowering works.
So let me start at the beginning, right? So there's some trees that need to reach a certain maturity level until they start to flower. For instance, wisteria, don't hold me to that, but I do believe that it is around 10 years until they start to flower. So you need to have a wisteria that's at least 10 years old until it is mature enough to start to flower, right? So meaning it has to be mature enough, but also it has to be happy enough, right? It has to be in good conditions in order for it to flower. A tropical example would be the Jaboticaba. Jaboticaba also takes about 10 to 13 years until it reaches the maturity level, until it can start to flower. Now, here's something really interesting too. Crepe myrtles, not crepe myrtles. Oh, now I have crepe myrtles in mind. The dwarf apples. What is it called? Crab apples. I got it. Crab apples. So crab apples, they need to have a branch that's at least 1 year old in order for it to produce flowers or fruit on that branch. So that's kind of like the basics of it, right? Now, trees can also flower because they're about to die. So either super happy or super unhappy, and that's when they would flower. Now, if you get repeated flowering, like every year in the spring, right, for temper trees, and crepe myrtles right now in the summer, repeated, right, and you get a lot of growth, that means they're happy. If they have yellow leaves and they don't look too happy, then they are about to die and you want to do something very quickly. For tropical trees, if you're in the right climate, they can flower all year round. And the way that you can get them to flower, like force bloom, would be to defoliate them. And then within about 30 to 45 days, they'll start to flower. I have tested it on desert roses and bougainvilleas and tropical vitex, and it works phenomenally well. But this force blooming does not work on temperate trees. So I hope that I was able to shed some light on the flowering, or maybe make it even a little more confusing.
So it varies,
Yes.
case per case, climate per climate, situation.
Situation. I mean, this tree right here, for instance, if I wanted to enjoy the flowers, I don't care about the flowers right now anymore with this tree, right? Because what I want to do in the spring is I want to repot it, give it good soil, give it good fertilizer, and then the tree will flower on its own automatically when it's happy, because I give it all of these things to make it happy.
And Cynthia has a follow-up question saying, what about defoliating it now and see if it will flower?
So you can definitely defoliate your crepe myrtle, because that's what I'm doing. It was a crepe myrtle, right? Crepe myrtle, defoliate it, and it will come back with more growth and more vigor. And you might be able to still get it to flower, because you're in Arizona. Sounds very hot to me, so you might be able to still get it to flower. But if you can, don't prune it too early. Let it flower first, and then. So I would let it wake up in the spring, let the new growth harden, and then trim it back, and then I can get the flowers in the summertime.
Okay. Beautiful. So I see you. Are you ready to place the branches? Is that what
So
happened?
I already placed the branches,
Okay.
but I wanted to discuss a few things. So
Let's discuss.
here, when you look at the chopstick, right, the branches all come up and kind of have movement. And so I really like this. It almost looks like a broom style in a way, and it has a really nice deciduous form, which I really like. This here we're going to talk about in just a second. Now what I think we want to do with this tree is, once it starts to regrow, we're going to start to get lateral branches, horizontal branches from these lateral trunks up here. And that's how we can build that deciduous dome that we want, you know. Now these two branches back here, they don't really fit into the design. However, when you look at it from the front, you can still see that trunk in the back. So earlier I said, now it is a great time to trunk chop, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And so I'm going to look at the tree from the front one more time, okay? And so basically this long one, can you see this one well?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go a little closer.
Okay, so this branch here that comes off of the bottom trunk, the main trunk, is completely straight, right? So, for comparison.
Can you put your hand in the back?
Yes, for comparison. It is completely straight like my chopstick. And I don't like straight movement in my trees like that. So what I'm going to do with this branch is, are you ready? I'm going to take it back to around here. Beautiful. Okay, now see, I'm going to put some cut paste on here immediately. Alright. And now, take a look at it again. So you see here how I cut it lower like that? Once the tree starts to grow again, this will give me lower branches, thinner branches that I can then wire into this direction here. And that's how I can fill in this space better. Now this back trunk here, we have to do the same thing, shorten it. I don't like how tall it has gotten, and it's completely out of whack. And once I cut that one in the back lower as well, I'm going to go ahead and place the branches one more time, just to kind of follow up on what I just did. So I'm going to cut this one here, and then I'm going to cut this one. You know, I'm going to remove this one completely. Wonderful. And now some of you may have just had a little heart attack. But this is quite okay, because I know this is a deciduous tree. And I know it's in the dormant period. So I do know that once it starts to wake up, so in a couple of weeks, hopefully, when the temperatures are a little cooler, I know that it'll start to back bud like crazy all over the trunk, and I can choose my pick on where I want these new branches to be.
Okay, and for those branches that you cut, can they be propagated? How is the word propagation with this tree?
You know, I think it is a little too late in the season to propagate this puppy. Deciduous trees, you generally want to propagate them in the spring when the new growth has hardened. Right now, I think it might be a little too hot to try and get to propagate this tree, but still try. But if you wanted to propagate that, I would take this whip right here and I would trim it up into smaller sections. So I would try to trim it like this, remove some of the bottom leaves here, dip it in some growing hormone or honey or something like that. And something that I have had really good success with, and you might be laughing when you hear this, I used to take these cuttings, dip them in a little bit of raw honey, and then take a small potato, make a cut in the potato, stick this in the potato, take the potato, and bury it in soil. And I used to be able to have every single cutting survive. Because of the potato, it keeps the moisture, and it's a well-known gardening trick. It's not something that I invented. But I saw it, and I liked it, and I tried it, and it always works well. And so I could make this branch here into probably like 5 more cuttings if I wanted to. And then you could technically create like a little forest if you wanted to.
That is awesome. And actually, I see a question about air layering as well. So since we're in propagation,
let's do it.
When is the best time to air layer?
Air layer on something like this, again, I would do it in the spring. You could still do it now, but you would have to protect it. The reason why we do it in the spring is because the sap flow is really like going crazy on the tree, right? Up and down and up and down. And so that's a good time to go ahead and air layer to get these roots, right? If you do it now, you might have to protect it, because if we do it in the spring, we can also remove it earlier in the season as well, okay? So meaning if you do it later, just keep this in mind, you might have to just protected from the cold.
Okay, and before we start our fun moment talking about pots, I do see one of our bonsai friends that he says that finally he's live and we're live.
Yeah.
So he's excited. He is changing the topic a little bit. He wants to talk about ficus. So he says, what do you recommend with keeping ficus indoors? Yeah, let's just go. Yeah, let's talk about placement and also for the crepe myrtle after.
Yes, and take a look at this crepe myrtle from the front when I talk about ficuses. So ficuses are really cool trees because that's one of those trees that you can overwinter indoors by a window without any issues. And I would say a tree about this size in front of a window that gets a lot of direct sunlight, you are going to be okay. If it's any bigger than this, and this might even be pushing it in size, then I would definitely get a grow light. But they do very well on the inside. By a window, like I said, when the temperatures are above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, move them outside into the full sun. Something like this, a deciduous tree, is kind of, I would keep this in full sun, right? And in the summertime, like right now when it's so hot, there's some deciduous trees that start to have some burnt leaves on the canopy, right? They start to crisp up. Japanese maple, very notorious for doing that. So those trees that when the leaves crisp up, I take those trees and I move them into a more shadier area. So when you get like either filtered light or they get like afternoon shade, that's very important. But there's some trees like for instance hackberries, they don't care at all. They continue to grow all year, all season long. They do not care at all. The same as wisteria, full sun. No burnt leaf equals full sun. Burnt leaves, burnt needles, you might have to push them into a little bit of shade, considering you are watering enough and the tree's in good soil.
Okay, so we have arrived to our favorite part.
First of all, what do you think? Does it look good from where you're standing?
It looks good, actually. Well, okay. So let me just tell you guys what is the next part. We're just gonna talk about possible pots options.
Okay.
Options. So if you guys have an idea of what will be the best choice for this tree, please let us know in the comments. So, Jerome, why don't you give us a 360 of the tree and let's see.
Okay. So this is the front, whoever gets this. Make sure that when you look at the tree from the front that you can see all the trunks. That's what I like about this guy right here. And so I'm going to give you a 360. I'm going to stand to the side. Okay, here we go, here we go. As you can see, there's tons of movement in this tree, tons of character. This is a very beautiful, like informal, upright, deciduous look, almost in a little bit of a broom form. I like it. Now, when we think about choosing a pot, let's think traditionally, but also let's think a little crazy, a little freestyle, okay? The tree has fuchsia colored flowers, so let's keep that in mind when we make a pot decision.
Okay, well, I really like it. I thought, okay, so I thought the branches were gonna be a little lower. Is that a reason? Is to see the canopy?
So that's for a few reasons. So that's a very good question actually. I'm really glad that you asked me that. So if I wanted to turn this into a traditional bonsai look, I could have taken these branches and brought them all down like that, right? Like this and like this and like this and built the pyramid, right? However, I think that this tree naturally wanted to be more of a naturalistic bonsai, that freestyle kind of look and approach, and so that's why I copied how this tree would grow in nature. So the next time you drive down the freeway or the highway, whatever, and you see a crepe myrtle, pull over and stand in front of it. And then you can see there's a trunk. Either there's multiple trunks coming from the base, or there's a trunk, and then it starts to branch out, and it looks exactly like this. And since it naturally had this movement, I want to go with this. And now from here, the branches will start to come out horizontally, and then we can build that canopy, right? So we have that upward flow and then outward flow at the same time. So this is an elegant deciduous tree. That's kind of what I went for.
Got it. Okay. So since it's a flowering tree, I love to pair it with a glaze.
Okay.
But sometimes I usually go with like blue glaze because it really highlights the flowers, or white glaze. It looks off-white, you know. And I will go actually rectangular.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's my.
Would you go shallow, or would you go more like a little more like whatever that is?
I will give it some depth.
A little bit of this?
Yes, a
Okay.
little bit of it. Let me see. Okay, so I see that we have a lot of OGs on YouTube because there's a lot of them saying yellow.
Yellow! Yeah, baby.
You guys are the OGs.
That's right. Yellow and pink, man, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah. So let's say oval, yellow. Jerome always chooses yellow. I do see gray.
I dare you. Name one tree where yellow will not work. I dare you to find one.
Yeah. So when I see drum pot.
Ooh, like a round
That
drum
would be
pot.
nice.
Okay.
Blue teal pot. Alright. Aqua pot. Actually see a couple of those. Yeah, blue is definitely
Is
a great
aqua
choice.
like turquoise?
Yeah,
I think so,
yeah,
right? Ooh,
uh-huh.
that's a very nice one. I like that one
Yes.
very much. Now, on the aqua teal one, would you go oval or rectangle? Or would you go different?
I see a lot of oval. I will go rectangular.
So, there's something that I might have to admit to, since we're on the topic of oval and rectangle. I never choose a rectangle and I never choose a square pot. And here's my thought of it. I know that there's some masculinity in it, in the square pots and the rectangle pots, but to me they always look too heavy on the trees. And I do like the round and ovals better because you find the same in the tree, right? That ovalish canopy and that flow and the round branches, the round trunk. So that's why I always kind of steer away from rectangle, usually. But I think you could convince me putting this into a rectangle. I'm not against it.
Okay. Well, so there's not right or wrong.
No.
So whoever gets this tree, you guys are the artists, you're the designers. We're just giving you some suggestions and just having fun with it. But yeah, that's what you should do too. Have
You
fun
could
with it.
also choose a black pot, right? I mean, black and pink, I mean, that pops like crazy. Also, you see the trunk here has that old age, it's a little dirty a little bit. So you could definitely play off of that as well. Now, here's a fun thought though. If you are putting this into a oval pot, right, you can either plant it dead smack in the middle of the oval pot, which is what usually people do, and then have the canopy kind of fill in the empty spots of the pot. Or something that I like to do is kind of take if this was my oval pot, and kind of just push it all the way to one side. I think it always looks so much more elegant and cooler. Although that usually works better when you have conifers, like a cypress or a pine or something like that, and you push it off to one center. Looks really nice.
Okay, and there's a question about after defoliation, are you placing this tree on shade? Well, it's actually a question about in general or normal environment after you defoliate a tree.
That's a great question. Tropical trees, I move them right back out into full sun, except for desert roses because they can get a sunburn. Literally, it looks orange and it never goes away. I think the same goes for maples, that they do get sunburn, like a Japanese maple. Tridents are fine, you can put them right back into full sun. The same with elms, but just to play it safe, move them into the shade until the hotter temperatures start to kind of drop off, and then put them back out into the full sun where they were before. Or once the leaves have filled in, then you can put them back into the spot that they were before.
And how long you should leave the wire on?
Great question. It really depends on the species, vigor and age, but I don't have like a specific 2 weeks or a year. I kind of treat every tree on the individual basis, and I look at them every single day. You can ask Mari. Every day with my coffee, I look at all of my trees, and once the wire starts to bite into the trunk a little bit, that's when I go ahead and remove it. Now there are species out there like ficuses or junipers, for instance, where the wire has to bite into the branch a little bit more until it sets. Now, once the wire has, bit into the branch, you remove it and the tree goes back to its original form, then you have to rewire it again. There are some species out there that take a little while for the branches to set, such as Alberta spruce.
Okay, so now let's do a summary of what you did today and what the person who wins this tree should do with it when they get it.
Okay, very cool. So, as you know, this is a deciduous tree. It's a crepe myrtle. I first defoliated it. Why? Because in the summertime, when deciduous trees go into that summer dormancy, I go ahead and I defoliate all of my deciduous trees. I do some detailed pruning, right? I pour myself a nice glass of wine, and I really detail trim all of the trees, which is a lot of fun. We do that because they go into a dormant period, but also when you defoliate deciduous trees in the summer, it takes them longer for the fall colors to turn, so they stay longer with leaves, a lot longer, and then once they do turn the leaf colors into fall color, the fall colors are a lot more vibrant. So this is a little added trick. So I went ahead and I cut the things off. Also good time to do trunk chops when you defoliate the trees in the summer. Then I wired all of the branches, I placed them, and I took some bigger branches off the top here to shrink the back a little bit of this tree. And this is how it's going to sit, so whoever gets this, so once you open up your door and you see the beautiful UPS person dropped off your tree, take it out of the box, water it immediately, mist the branches, right? And then I will keep it in the shade. Because your climate is different from mine, obviously, most likely. So keep it in the shade, let it come back, make sure that you mist, when you defoliate a tree, you want to mist the branches. It helps the leaves come back quicker and a lot more vigorous. And just keep the base from drying out. Now if you want to, you can take it out of this pot, it's a beautiful root ball, and plant it into a larger pot to get more growth out of this year. And then in the following spring, as the tree starts to wake up from the winter dormancy, go ahead and repot it regardless, and wash out all of the old soil and fill it in with good bonsai soil. Did I miss anything? Because I was going fast.
I think you did a pretty good job
summarizing. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, so we are going to take some pictures of this finished tree, and we will be putting those pictures and starting the online auction probably in about an hour or so. So it will be 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you can go to our website, thebonsaiisupply.com, under YouTube auctions, and you can bid for this tree for the next 48 hours. And make sure you are in the U.S. This is for the United States participant only at this time. And yeah, so we hope you enjoy this live today. Thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate you guys. We do this once a month, every Thursday, Wednesday, at least we try. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for spending your evening with us. It's always a lot of fun. So one more time, we have YouTube and then we have TikTok, the front of the tree. And we'll guys see you next Wednesday in our regular YouTube videos. Catch you guys next time.